Howdy, everybody. Chess College. Week, I don't even know what week it is. Week 3, the last week of June. I know that. I assigned, hope you saw it, assigned essay 2, write a paper, an essay, critical essay, not just a knockoff bio from Wikipedia, on one of 3 playwrights, which I'm going to talk about tonight. You choose one. And 3 to 5 pages, 3 pages minimum, 5, keep it to 5. The reason why that's important, these academic research papers, essays, is because that's part of the discipline of writing an essay, is to write a minimum amount of words. 3 pages is not that hard. All these people have a ton of material out there that has been written about them. There's lots of there's interviews with them on YouTube. There's research to do, and you have a week to do it. So this time next week, it's due 11 o'clock, 11:59 p.m. That's 1 minute to midnight. Don't be late. What was I going to add to that? Anyway, also got a discussion going. Please look at that. Simple question: have you ever been to a play? What's your play? What's your opinion? Nay, or boring, or love it, or never been to one? Why? Why not? Share with the class and reply to a couple people. It's called a discussion for a reason. Discuss. That's open for 1 week. There's a time limit on those. It'll be closed next week. So get your say in there, forever hold your peace. This is all part of the grade. I don't grade the discussions alone, but they're all part of your participation. We're not in a classroom together, so this is what we do. Virtual classroom. I'm also going to post a sample of their journal reflection. Hope you guys are keeping up on that. Most of you probably aren't. That's due the last week. Last day of class. It's a journal, like a diary of what we did every week for this 7 weeks we're here. What we did, what we saw, what you saw, what you read in the book, and how you felt about it. That's the reflection part. Okay, then I'll print that later on. You'll see it in announcements. I'll announce it. You'll see it. I think that's all the relevant news. Besides, it's going to get hot in the next couple of days. So I hope you're prepared for that. I'm not. But I am prepared to talk about these playwrights. I didn't know what a playwright was. I was in drama, theater class in high school and college, and they just seemed like such a far off, abstract, these plays that we were doing at the time by these classic writers like Tennessee Williams and Arthur Miller, Eugene O'Neill. It just seemed like I didn't know that world. I memorized their dialogue and acted in these plays without really probably knowing what the hell I was doing. I was in a Shakespeare play once. I had no idea what I was saying. I just memorized it. Boy, what a waste. I would know what I'm saying now because I love the poetry of the language. But like everything else that's worth it, you got to dig deep. You got to study it. And so one of the playwrights you could write about is William Shakespeare. You might think you know some stuff. Look at that documentary I posted on Shakespeare. Complicated man, successful man in his lifetime, which is rare. And for those days, 1550, the Renaissance was beginning. Martin Luther had challenged the Catholic Church. Things were happening in the world. Artists, painters were painting, and it was a thriving time for the best of humanity, which is the arts. I believe what we've done as in theater and movies and music and painting and dance is the best of the human endeavor. And what's the beauty of it is it doesn't change. 2,000 years ago, they were putting on plays in Greece. Human condition doesn't change, technology does. We're all struggling to be loved or find fulfillment, dream, and not be depressed all the time, um, find meaning. They were doing that at the beginning of man, too. And so plays bring this onto the stage. They're holding up a mirror to the culture and the society, and William Shakespeare certainly did that. We're still performing his works 500 years after his death. They're famous. Have you ever read a Shakespeare play? Have you ever seen one? Did it confuse you, or did you get it totally? Romeo and Juliet? Or art thou Romeo? I'm here, fair Juliet. Love affair between two teenagers from different warring families, and it ends in tragedy. It is called the tragedy of Romeo and Juliet, and it's not going to end up good for them. Suicide pact because they can't get past their stupid families, so they could be together. Um, Hamlet about the man who loses his father to an assassin, and his mother helped, and then she turns around and marries the guy who had him assassinated. Not a good thing. And then he spends the rest of the play pretending that he's lost his mind so he can seek revenge, and revenge he seeks. And everybody pays the price, including Hamlet. It's the tragedy of Hamlet. Tragedy is defined by a good person that bad things happen to. Hamlet doesn't deserve his fate. It's going to happen anyway. Macbeth, about a warring soldier and his wife who's very ambitious politically and wants to get him to be king. And how they do that is they murder everybody. He doesn't like it, but he's under his wife's power. Macbeth's actually a good guy, a loyal soldier, until he starts going on a killing spree. For what? Power. Think about what's going on in this country. Politics is power. People will almost do anything to keep their power or to get it. So these plays are so pertinent to this day because we don't change as people. Just our car, we have cars, we have cell phones, but we're no different than Shakespeare's people who were living and going to see these plays. They understood them very well, even though the language is heightened poetic language. But the masses, those plays were not for the aristocracy and the only educated. They're for everybody, and they were enjoyed by everybody. And Shakespeare made a very good living from it. Um, and we're still analyzing his work, how deep it is. Othello, about huge jealousies. As you like it, identity change. She pretends, she pretends like she's a man the whole time to get what she needs. So there's some gender switching out 500 years ago, and so many more. But Hamlet is the one that haunts most, I think, in people's lives or cultures because perhaps you've seen a movie. It made a lot of them. Mel Gibson played Hamlet. Hard to believe. He, he's fine. He doesn't talk a lot though. It's really a film version of Hamlet, meaning they cut most of the dialogue. But the other ones, Kenneth Branagh's version is the full play from start to finish. I'm not a big fan of that one. I think it's overly produced. They're in uniforms. I don't know. Kind of looks fussy. But you try pulling off a film without the play Hamlet from start to finish without cutting anything. See if you can keep your audience engaged. Okay, Shakespeare, the second playwright is Lorraine Hansberry, a woman who was an African American woman playwright, which is rare. And she's the first black female that had a play on Broadway. That's in 1960, around there. 59 is called A Raisin in the Sun. Sidney Poitier, who passed away this last year, was in the play and the movie. It's about a black family, inner city family, who moves into a white neighborhood and how they're treated. That was the ultimate goal, to get out of the ghetto to move to the suburbs. And they're faced with the racism of the suburbs, the truth of the suburbs, and they persevere and they survive. And that's what that play is all about, surviving against great odds. She wrote another play, which is actually playing right now in New York City. And then died tragically of cancer at 34 years old. That's young, folks. 1964, I think she died. So she was just getting started. Who knows where her future would have led, but who cares, because she left us raised in the sun. That's enough. It's a lot. They're still performing this play everywhere. Still resonates. The struggle continues. Nothing's changed in the 65 years since she wrote it. So that's another option. Um, and the third option is Sam Shepard, American playwright, who started his career off Broadway in New York, writing very experimental plays, some of them only 6 or 7 pages long, and they're almost riffs on a theme. He explored, obviously, relationships and in the West, and the nature of man's inhumanity to man's masculinity, alcoholism, fathers that aren't there, mothers that die early because they can't take care of the family. And so he, in about 1978, wrote a play called Buried Child, about a family who's they bury the child out in the backyard, it's stillborn, and how it haunts them. The father, the drunken father, the siblings, the wife. They didn't want to Pulitzer Prize, and it changed the trajectory of his career. He went on to write True West, which is to me his finest play, about two brothers who are pitted against each other, kind of like Abel and Cain, Cain and Abel, and how they change identities throughout during the play. Their personas change. Shepard wrote a lot about the dual personas we have inside of us. Are you more than one person? Are you several people? So it's not uncommon. Um, he went on to write Fool for Love and The Lie of the Heart, Lie of the Mind, rather, and became more famous for his acting, Days of Heaven and Francis, Black Hawk Down. If you if you ever seen it, he plays the general. The Right Stuff, he plays Chuck Yeager, experimental flyer, and he was nominated for an Oscar. So he was held his own with acting. He acted to pay the bills. He always said that. I read all the books. I'm reading one now, a brand new one that just came out this year. He was the reason why I wanted to become a playwright. I loved his plays. I loved what he was doing. I even got into horses because of him. He was a horse team roper, polar player, always at odds with that masculine world and his drunken father. Later on, Shepard married his first wife. He married, had a child, Olan Shepard. She calls herself Olan Jones now. And then he married. They weren't married, but they're together for 35 years. Movie star Jessica Lange. Maybe you know who that is. When you watch the or read about him, she'll pop up. They had a couple kids, but they never did seal the deal legally. And then after they broke up, he went through a huge depression, severe bouts of alcoholism, lived down in Santa Fe, New Mexico for a while, and he had a horse farm in Kentucky. And then he got a disease, a horrible disease. They call it the Lou Gehrig's disease. And he died tragically, 73 years old. But he left a body of work that still resonates to this day. People are still trying to find meaning in this stuff because there's a ton of meaning in it. And he wrote about the American family and all of its dysfunction. Sam Shepard. So, those are the three playwrights. If you listen to my lecture, you'll be able to use some of that. If not, what's this say? Oh, okay. Those are my notes for some other day. That's it, folks. It is Wednesday. I'm not going to do another lecture. I'm going to let you go. You have plenty to do now. You've got the essay. You got to watch these documentaries. If you go down to, you'll see them. There's a little mini documentary about each of these people. I try to keep them short. Sometimes you can't keep them short. And also pick a playwright and do the research on them. Also, not just look at that little movie. You won't get enough information. Make sure when you write your papers, if you use outside sources, you got to have a works cited page. Please number your pages. That is it. Enjoy the week. It's going to get to be hot this week, but we've got business to do. And keep asking yourself when you write these papers, why does this playwright, why does this painter, why does this musician matter? Why did they matter when they lived? Why do they still matter? Something for you to think about. Keep pushing forward. I'm just now grading your papers. I've graded about 10 of them so far. So far, so good. Those that aren't handing in the papers, it's not good. Papers, there's only so many points in this class, and every time you lose 10 points, it actually drops you down a full step, and you don't want that. So if you're having trouble getting them in, you got to contact me. Why? Tell me what's going on. If not, make sure that you drop the class on your own. I don't drop the class for you. You don't want to waste your money without participating. Anyway, for those who did the essay, thank you. Almost done reading them. I'll be done in a day or two. Keep up the good work, and I'll see you next time when the story of humanities continues.